Hey peoples, I know this is a bit of an unusual video because I'm talking, yes. This is my voice, unfortunately, if you never heard me before. But I always kind of wanted to do a Q&A video where I actually answer the questions and it's not just, a TTS voice that I use in my videos. I got a lot of questions. A lot of them are kind of a bulk questions, so they have more questions within the question. So I won't really go through every single question that I received because there is a lot, but I will try to answer to most of them that I can. So I will just pick randomly, kind of. But yeah, I don't want to answer for each and everyone because then I think this whole video will be like more than an hour long. Way more than an hour long, so I will just try to keep it a little bit much shorter, but even now I think it will be like half an hour long, so I don't know. Well, anyway, let's get to the first question then. Okay, so the first one is software used for in-game captures. Is it a separate software to put the videos together? Very new to this whole software video editing thing, thanks. Yes, currently I'm actually just using OBS to capture whatever I want from in-game or any other game, whatever. You can, if you have an NVIDIA card, you can use Shadowplay, that's built in. I don't generally like it too much because it glitched a lot for me in the past, so I just simply swapped for OBS, or well, I personally use the Stream Elements OBS kind, which is still basic OBS, but it has additions to it if I stream. Yeah, I do use a separate software because you can't edit in OBS, so you need if you want something free, I would say DaVinci Resolve is very good. I personally use Premiere Pro from Adobe and have After Effects. I wouldn't really recommend anymore Sony Vegas. Maybe the older versions like 16 and before, those versions, but not really the new ones because they are just trash. In my opinion, they just crash so much, or crash for me so much, that it was just impossible to even make a single video eventually, so I just swapped to After Effects myself. I actually do most of my editing in After Effects. I don't really use, well, I do use Premiere Pro, but it's just for basic cuts and really nothing else, or maybe just a little bit of an audio manipulation or editing, if I ever do that for any reason at all. There was another question. What is your recommended video editing software? Yeah, for free, again, you can go for DaVinci Resolve. I don't really know any other free ones personally, and even you can go for anything really if you just want basics, like just cutting and zoom, moving or panning around, whatever they are just very basic things, so you can do them in like most video editing softwares, even if they are free or not. But DaVinci Resolve, the free version, does really have a lot of features that you can use, and it's generally very good. I don't use it personally, so don't ask me how it works. I just know that there are a lot of tutorials for it on YouTube as well. So I rather just recommend watching tutorials on YouTube for them if you want. But other than that, you can go for whatever you want if you purchase anything. I know a lot of people don't like Adobe, but that's really up to personal tastes and opinions. Any thumbnail creator, if any? Well, just don't use GIMP, thank you. Just no. Anything else? You can even like Google for like Photoshop, I don't know, website. There is like a built-in, there's like a Photoshop like site where you can online edit, but it's not like really online, but it's built into your browser, so you can do quite a few things there, but you know, like basic things like paint or whatever on the newer versions are good. I don't really say to just, you know, buy or like get Photoshop or whatever you want, because there are a lot of I don't think you need anything expensive for like just making thumbnails, unless you really want to go ham with them. I do have Photoshop because it's my Adobe pack. So I mean, I've been using Photoshop for like I don't know, more than 10 years, because I used it in schools as well in the past, because I just like using, or well, you know, photo manipulation, whatever. Okay, making a video takes a long time. Writing, audio recording, and editing, footage capture, and then video editing. Oh yeah. Personally, I am abysmally slow at it all. What technical habits have you learned, developed over time to speed your productions? Well, they are still tedious, so they are still a slow process. You can't. Genuinely, I think the only things you can speed it up if you like make maybe like template files or projects that you can reuse in future productions or videos. If you have like an overlay that you want to put on the video for what you're editing for example, if you have like working for a streamer who wants to use this kind of lower thirds for videos, you know, that just says like, hey, this is my Twitter, this is my YouTube, and they just, you know, just loop around, but they just pop up time to time, then you can just make it first and just make it like a transparent video, and then you can just later just reuse them. So you can use that as well if you want to. I actually do that a few times. Yeah, generally for me there is a lot of new things, so I can't really make templates. There are just a few templates I use for some editing work, not for myself, because anything I use for myself, whatever is pre-made is basically the intro and outro I make, but even then I edit it a lot. But it can help if you have just the base or some kind of base that you make for them. So if there is any element in your videos that you keep using, then I do recommend just creating some kind of templates from your own edits, basically from your own videos that you know that you keep reusing, and it's like a hassle to make. You know, like it takes like half an hour to remake each time. Then you just should make a template and then you save it either as a project, or very simple way you can just render it as like a transparent video, you know, like a .mov file or something like that. It works, it just works like that. But other than that, maybe in the UI, if you have like good knowledge over hotkeys, that does speed up your process in editing a lot. So knowing and like learning your hotkeys, that does speed up a lot, honestly. And if you know, like, you just have to learn your own software that you use to find everything in it, because other than that it will be always slow. I don't think you can speed it up that much, really. So that's all I'm gonna say to you. Okay, 2 more questions here, kind of. How do you feel about your current clients? They are very horrible. Like, oh my god, it's unbearable, as you can hear. No, I'm just joking, really. It's good. They are sweet, really. I didn't really have any bad experience with my clients yet. Apart from a few clients that try to commission me, kind of, or like, you know, get some kind of work done, but it never happened. Yeah, for different reasons for all of them, but sometimes it's just a little bit funny. But nothing bad, really, just a little bit, you know, sometimes just people don't understand how you work or how something works in this kind of thing. So apart from that, it's usually just pleasant. It's really not that bad. The other question, which is the real question, it's been what, a year since you switched jobs? Yes, well, it's more than a year now, of course. It's been like 1.5 year, which is quite a miracle. Miracle. I can't even say that word. um, but yeah, it's been quite a while, which is very surprising to me. Still, it's really hard to comprehend. Are you happy as a full-time editor? Is it what you expected it would be? Less? More? Honestly, like, in a way, I am happy because I do something I actually enjoy doing. It doesn't really matter that it's a work or job for me. I don't really think of it as a job. It's more like a vocation or something I do for. And not, it's not really just for fun, because that's a little bit a stretch to say, but it's much more enjoyable when you do something that you actually enjoy doing. And well, it's not exactly how I expected it to be, not in like a bad way. It just more like, you when you start this out, it is very risky. So honestly, if you want to do something like this, uh, I would advise not to just go blindly in. I kind of did that, but because I was mostly fed up with my previous work, and it was just just crushing me, like in every single way. So I kind of had to just get out of that. But um, it's really not that bad. It's just really you get to a point where you don't really know who you end up working for, or working with, of course, uh, because you don't really know if you find anyone for like full time, and you don't know if you like get extra clients if you need. It's very complicated. Honestly, it's a very different experience for everyone. For me, it was more about like, I didn't know if I would end up with someone being very obnoxious. I can't even say that word or whatever. uh yeah, so I didn't really wanted to work for anyone that is like super annoying to work with or work for. And I just really wanted, but thankfully that did not end up being like that, so I'm very happy about that. All right, next question. What is your favorite animal and how many do you want? It's foxes. I love dogs as well. I don't like cats, and many people get surprised by that when I say that, but I actually do not like cats at all. Like, they are adorable, they look nice, they look pleasant, they are cute, because they're fluffy and everything. But I just simply do not like cats. Like, I do not want any cats around me. I don't like them. They don't like me either. Believe me, I had my experiences with them as a kid. I did nothing, and they just clawed me to death. Well, I'm still alive, thankfully. But no, I actually like dogs more than cats, obviously, and normally as like a very common pet, which is very ironic since I was bitten by dogs 2 times when I was very, very little, and I'm actually still very afraid of dogs, but I still love them very much. I actually more afraid of small dogs than big ones, even though my godmother's Rottweiler bit me when I was like 2 years old, so that's kind of stuck with me. So I'm a little bit slightly afraid of big dogs, but I still like them more because they're usually much more friendly and a little bit much more hyperactive than the smaller ones. But yeah, I like dogs. But if I could have any pet from the world, or were any animal on the world as a pet, I would pick fox because I love them. They are just, oh my god, they are just the best thing in the world. They are very cute. I love the sounds they make. I know they scream and all that thing. I know that they stink. I know they are very smelly and they have very strong smell, but I will still just love one. I know I probably will never have one because I don't know. I basically never had a pet, and it's probably not the best starting with like a fox, obviously, and they also need space and everything. You know, it's there is a lot more to it, but yeah, they are just, oh, I love them. They're just so cute. They are, oh, they are everything in this world. But one of my dream is to visit that fox village. I think it's in Japan. But yeah, I just want to pet a fox once in my life, at least before I like die or something. But yeah, yeah, it's fox. It's fox. Oh, above everything else. Okay, next question. If you had total narrative control over the story of the next expansion, where are you going? Who are the bad guys? And can we kill Braham, Taimi, and Orin? I don't know why people want to kill them. I can understand Braham. I don't really like Braham that much. I don't hate Braham, but I just don't like him for few different reasons than usual. But I absolutely don't hate Taimi or Orin. I know they are, you know, this plot devices basically, or being those a lot of times. But honestly, in like most story, especially in MMOs, you will get this kind of effect, in my opinion. It's kind of inevitable. But if I will make the story for the next expansion, yes, many people know that I love Utopia, and I will go to the Mists. Not because that, but not like, you know, like fractals or anything, but like an actual Mist world that is more on the mechanism of the mists. So it will be more like learning how exactly the mist works or something similar. You know, like I don't know, but I genuinely loved the base idea of Guild Wars Utopia, which was obviously scrapped because then it basically needed a system which was Guild Wars 2. So instead of making a system for Utopia to remake Guild Wars 1, because that just did not work for them. So instead they scrapped the idea of making a simple Guild Wars expansion, and they just recreated a new game from that base idea, which is very funny because they technically made a new game for the sole reason of Utopia to work in a game, because that's what Utopia needed. So the war, that kind of expansion needed Guild Wars 2 to be existent, to work by its own systems and the engine, because it basically needed an actually shared maps that people could go on and actually meet each other while being in party, whatever. But yeah, regardless, I do love the mists and the whole thing around it. I know that the mist is usually just used, you know, this kind of a secondary plot device in the story a lot of times, so it's like it can explain unexplainable things, which is a little bit meh in my opinion. But the place itself and the idea itself is very fascinating for me, because there is a lot of interesting things that sometimes don't really make sense to me, but then they also kind of do, because you can't explain the mist. So that's why it genuinely why I want a mist themed or a mist based expansion, so they can actually explain these things to make sense, because a lot of things actually don't make sense in the mist, in my opinion. And really, that's it. But I don't really want to kill Orin and Taimi for sure. I actually really love Taimi and Orin. I don't really like Braham, as I mentioned, but that's a different reason. It's, you know, just whatever. It's not over the top, but yeah, whatever. I will still go to the Mist. I know many people probably wouldn't. I'm not saying that it should right away go there. Of course, I know this question says for the next expansion, but I will still love to explore the actual Tyria, you know, like. But I do want an expansion, maybe after the fourth one, maybe there will be like a fifth, a last one. I don't know. Genuinely, I hope there will be one, and that's where we can both explore the mist and maybe more parts of Tyria. I do wish to explore more of Tyria because there is like 90% more out there than what we know already, and I just want to see those places too. But I just feel like they will be like generally the same thing as we have now, just with like very different stories. So I don't know how much different that could be, really. Okay, next question. What made you start playing Guild Wars 2 and how many different characters do you have? Guild Wars 1 made me play Guild Wars 2, which is funny to say Guild Wars 1, but whatever. Yeah, the original games made me want to play Guild Wars 2 very basically. I have every kind of character. I think I have like 2 char because I originally created a char when I started to play the game first. Mostly because I think in the betas and closed betas that I played, we could only play human, I think Norn because they weren't so special yet, and Char because a lot of people wanted to play Char and try them out. And I do remember that we could only play 3 races at the time, and Azura and the Silvery wasn't out yet then, and you do remember that they reworked them a lot actually. So I have like 18 Azura or more, maybe a little bit. I have basically one for each specialization, almost, except for the new End of Dragons one. I didn't make new one for those because I actually don't have more slots and whatever. But I have for basically 2 specs or like 3. And I have like 2 chars. I have like 1 Norn for whatever reason. I think I created it, but I just keep them because of, you know, the birthday presents eventually just add up. I I have a lot of dice from those. I think I have 1 single human female flower here because I kinda promised I will make one if I get Bolt, the legendary sword, and then I actually got it from my friends for my birthday once. So I stick to my promise that yes, I will make a human female flower head. So yeah, that's the only reason I have one, and it's a revenant. I know. I actually don't play her or any of my other characters much at all, honestly. Maybe I just unlock specializations on them or whatever, but I don't really play them because it's very expensive to make builds for them and gear them out, and I don't have gold for that because I'm always working on some kind of legendary or whatever, so it just eats up my gold. But really, that's it. Alright, next question. Do you have a list of favorite recommended trance creators? Honestly, I don't really watch many of them or have any of them, either on YouTube or whatever. Genuinely, many knows that I watch Laranity on Twitch, streaming. But apart from that, I don't really like. I know a few more. Obviously, I know them, but I don't really watch streamers generally. There's like 3 people or like 4 or maybe 5 I watch regularly if I can catch them, but I don't really watch many people streaming. So even on YouTube, I don't really like pick creators. I just bump into them. But on YouTube, I would say Barney B. I actually not sure which name she uses. I know her characters, are there with the Rogue. You probably seen some of her videos. Honestly, I do recommend these. So yeah, but there are obviously more. I can't say much because I don't know them really well, so I don't know their content or how they stream or how they behave, whatever, it's like that, you know. Okay, next question. Specifically, what color would Greenrose dye be in Guild Wars 2? It's actually I do have a color code for it, which is 669518. That's the green I use a lot of places, and for my logo as well. I think it's I'm actually not sure if the text color you can see on the screen is actually that. I'm not sure anymore because I can't make the slight differences sometimes because it's kind of a yellowish green. It's not pure green. I don't exactly like pure, very harsh, deep green. I like this more softened yellowish green. Everything in my room is actually that color, almost the wall, everything. Well, okay, not everything literally, but my curtains, my bed, I don't know, my rug. Like half of my room is green basically. My glass that I drink from, even my drinks are green. But I don't really like the deep green. I like the soft yellowish tint to it. So that's kind of my answer to that. But yeah, I did say the color code, you can put it into any, you know, Photoshop or whatever and just check it. But I basically use it in my own very simple logo that I use, or on, you know, my Discord server's logo. You can see that they are the little N with the heart. Alright, next question. Did you try Harbinger Necro, and do you plan to make an updated crappy Necro guide? Honestly, probably not. That's mostly because I don't really want to remake the jokes and everything. I also don't really have any of the footage or, you know, the files I use for that video by now, because sadly I do have to clean up time to time because these just take up so much space, and I just don't have the HDD for that. And I don't know, I just don't like remaking videos, honestly, even though I know there is an edition for it for like the Harbinger, but it just doesn't feel like the same. It just feels like just copying the same, so I just don't feel like it. It just doesn't feel funny to me making it like the second time. That's why I kind of try now, but to a little bit wait before I kind of continue. I actually do still work slightly on the other crappy guide that I started last year, but I kind of really burned out on it because I was so forcing it on myself that I just lost its charm to me. So I'm just taking quite a bit of break from it because I just really can't work on something that I'm trying to force on myself. So currently, no, I do not. I would say 99% no to this question, that I will make like an updated crappy guide for the Necro. But maybe there is like 1%. I always leave like 1% chance that I maybe make one, but don't really lean on that. Alright, next two questions. Do you accept Chara hugs? Kind of, I guess. Not sure about that because they are kind of big and you know, pointy. The next question after that, Revenant or Engineer? Honestly, I don't know, Engineer a little bit more than Revenant to me. It's a little bit more fun, especially the Holosmith, you know, but I'm not sure if you mean just the core ones. So whatever, but I still pick Engineer because that's kind of more fun regardless. Next question, which is a little bit more interesting kinda to answer. I'm not sure. What will be the best way to support you financially? Do you have like a price list for editing, and how does the process start? Okay, let me just break this up a little bit. First, I will just talk about the second part. Do you have like prices for editing? Yes, I kinda have. I work in like hourly rates, uh, but I don't really take any work right now, and I usually don't really take much work because I do have a few clients who get back to me time to time, and I have very little extra free time to use for these, so I usually just work on the weekends on these, or very few times if I manage to get to work very early on, besides my real life stuff that goes on all the time. uh, I managed to work a little bit on the in the evenings basically, but I usually just have no energy for it, so I basically put them on the on my weekends, which means that I usually have no weekends either that much. Unless I just decide not to work on them for whatever reason, honestly. Sometimes I just have different stuff to work on, and sometimes I just want to work on my own stuff as well. How does the process start? Well, if you would ask me, I would. It's kind of complicated a little bit to me because genuinely, it's how to say, it very much differs from the type of work you want. If you would like a trailer or something, I will tell you to like give me the idea what you're looking for, what is it for, give me context, that does matter a lot for me. Then I do need like the clips, files, whatever you have, the logos, any kind of file that needs to be used. I need those. Of course, I can make up text and whatever, but I do need like maybe like a script to see if there is any talking over it, if there is anything like that in it. I need some kind of script so I know which part is in it, which is not, like getting rid of errors in it, whatever. But for like simple cutting, you can just give me a file. You can just explain to, hey, here is this like I don't know, 30-minute video clip from my stream. Can you make it into like a 10-minute WOD or like a similar length to be around 10 minutes? And could you just cut the fat or like the useless parts from it? And I will just do that. It takes like a few hours to just not a few hours, that's a little bit shorter. I'm generally more used for like 1 to 2 hours of footage review, which is genuinely sometimes a little bit boring because you're just watching and cutting, and that's a little bit not so much entertaining for me. But yeah, that's kind of the process. It really depends on what do you need. For the first part, what will be the best way to support me financially? It's honestly, I don't really like to bring it up again. I okay, look, I just don't like to talk about this because I'm not like a beggar. I don't like to like bring these up, but I think the most stable support I have is from Patreon. You can just pledge whatever amount you want. You can just go with like $1 or whatever. I don't even know what kind of currency it even uses for me. I think it's dollar or whatever, USD, I don't know, whatever. And it just helps really. I pay for a lot of shit basically to keep doing my content as well. There is like a lot of sub fees for both Adobe, although I do take that up for myself because I do need it for work as well. So I kind of just pay it from my own payment, but I on payment, especially nowadays, I'm just barely on like zero. So because I have so many fees to pay for being a business that my entire payment from the full-time part is basically gone for that and to support my own family, because obviously, yes, sadly I do live with my parents, I do have to support them. I do have to give money because you can't exist without it. Like I just can't do. I cannot not pay to be here and live here. I have to pay for it. It's not much I can do. Even that is very little what I give, but I basically have nothing left from that. So usually my only extra income is basically from the extra clients, really, and from Patreon. Basically that's the only thing I can kind of try to put it away and save. So although I don't really like buying stuff for myself, so I usually just always try to put away a little from my extra work, and I just never take the money off from Patreon because I don't want to feel like that it's there for an extra that I can spend on something. So I literally like put it on saving so hard that I just don't take it off from the site. I basically just don't get the payout from that because I don't want to accidentally, whatever happens, I don't want to touch it because it's just very important to me. And I just had to do this to make sure that I don't accidentally. It's not like I buy like expensive stuff, whatever. But you never know what happens in life. But thankfully, so far, I didn't really had to touch anything such that I'm saving. So well, except for when I started my wall video editing business, because that took up my wall savings of 2 years to actually keep going on. Because even though I quit at the time, I did not have money, just my savings to keep paying for living here and for the fees that I'm doing a business, because I do have to pay for this to actually exist as a freelancer. So it's not a free job that I do. I always have to pay for a base fixed fee each month to actually do this job. So yeah, that's kind of the worst part of it. But yeah, if you do want to really support me, I would say Patreon. There is no other really place because I don't get revenue from YouTube. I did apply for the AdSense thing for YouTube recently, but don't think that I make any money of it. Like maybe after like a whole year I will make like 60 USD, maybe, because I've been on it for like a month slowly now, and I made like $4 actually from my whole YouTube revenue so far under a month. So yeah, it's really not that much, but it's still kind of a support as well for me. It's like an extra if it makes any within a year. But apart from that, I just only have Patreon. That's it really. Alright, then next question, I guess. Why so green? Like, serious question. Is it just your fave color, or does it mean more to you personally speaking? Plus, why do you like that specific green? I just like green, that's it. Honestly, it's not too complicated. I love the color. It's very soothing for me. For no reason, it's just pleasant to look at. I really love it, and it also kind of represents like just basic nature for me. I know that you can say, like money, whatever, because it's green as well. I mean, I actually don't know why even is money green, actually, like who made that up? I mean, for us, it's actually not even green. Like we have like brown, red, whatever, blue. Do we even have green paper money? I don't even know, honestly. But I think we do have, but I know that there's like USD or whatever that's like green, I guess. Or like maybe just the typical cartoon money is there as green all the time, so it makes you think of green. Or like the green makes you think of money or whatever, but it's genuinely not the case for me, because I I genuinely couldn't give two fucks about money usually, so whatever. But it just green. I just like green. It's a very pleasant color to look at. This kind of green that I'm talking about, the which I mentioned a little bit before, the slight yellowish tint to it, which is a little bit more nature-ish, I think. I I like that more, honestly. Okay, next question. When did you first start editing and what was your first video? Um, Genuinely, the very first time I actually edited was like, phew, I don't even know anymore. It was like around uh 2000 and somewhere 2005 or 6, somewhere around that time. I did not make it for anyone else, just for myself. I actually genuinely can't remember. I know that YouTube was like out by then, so I'm actually just not sure when YouTube appeared the first time. But I seen some of these kind of edits, which was like basically the current AMV videos, which was just like, you know, taking some kind of clips or whatever from, I don't know, shows or like movies or whatever, and there were edits for music basically, so they were mixed, you know, it's like AMV. But I also seen a lot of clips where, you know, the very basic thing where they just get clips from games and just play it for like a beat or something from like a music or whatever. So I seen a few, although I couldn't really download music that easily at the time, honestly. But I kind of just try to like understand how to even cut a video or do anything. So I just remember how excited I was when I was seeing these first basic transitions that you could see in these software. I actually don't know what kind of software I even used. I know that later I was able to um, uh, absolutely legally get Sony Vegas like very early. I think I first the very first more serious video editor I had was like Sony Vegas 6 or 8. That's all I know, if that's even existing as a name. I genuinely can't remember anymore. Then later on, the first videos that I was uploading was like League of Legends bugs, which I kind of actually deleted from my channel because they were still on there. I just kind of just recorded bugs from the game, and I was just putting on the forums back the time, like just explaining like, hey, is this like a bug or like weird interaction, whatever. It's, you know, just those things. So it's been, holy crap, it has been like more than 10 years. I know that I've been making videos for Guild Wars 2 for like more than 8 years by now, and I've been using Sony Vegas by the time way before, because I was still making basically League videos. Well, not like actual content, but like just random videos, mostly to just share between like friends, and then later I just try to upload to YouTube, and like, yeah, whatever, whoever sees it sees it, who don't. I didn't really care. Like, really, that's it. All right, a bunch of bull questions here, I guess. Which legendary do you love the most? Is the Gen 2 Scepter? You know, with the whatever name, I actually can't pronounce that name from my mind. Just this, I actually don't know the name of it. It's just the Aztec one, you know, whatever. What is your favorite armor? I genuinely don't have any specific favorite armor. Yeah, I have just none. Which elite specs do you like the most? Considering the End of Dragons one or with them, I would say both visually or by just its workings, like how very fun they are to play or use, or how good they look. I would say it's Holosmith for sure. Scourge is very fun to play. That's very basic. A lot of people know. Um, I do really like the Chronomancer and the Mirage. It's they are kind of fun to play, or well, when I did play them, they were very fun to play at the time. Wheelbender is actually very fun to play. I actually really like the play style of it. What else? Oh, holy crap! I actually don't really play too many characters or too many other professions. From Warrior, I actually like the aesthetics of what's it called? Spellbreaker. I actually don't even know the name. The Spellbreaker. I really love the idea behind it, but I know it's more like a PvP class, so I don't play it, and I don't play it in PvE anyway. I don't play Ranger at all. I do have a Ranger character and like a Soul Beast, but I don't play them. I just made them because I wanted to, have one of each spec. What else? Revenant, yeah, I don't play that at all. Engineer, I mean, I do like the Mechanist as well. For obvious reasons, I love the Mechanist, but it's also fun to play. Yeah, that's kind of it really for the specs. There isn't. Maybe I would say Virtuoso is kind of cool because of the effects, but it's a slightly bit eye cancer to me, honestly. Because it's just very flashy and it just covers everything. But that's really it to it. What is your favorite map in the game? I do really like Auric Basin. It just looks nice. Honestly, there isn't much map that I love. I do like what's it called? Crap, I actually forgot its name. The one map. I actually forgot its name. Sorry. The one above Lion's Arch. I just can't remember the name suddenly. Sorry. From End of Dragons, I do really love the Jadesea map, the Dragons End. Spoilers, I actually like Echoworld wise as well. It's actually very hard to navigate early on when you are very new to the map, but later on you actually kind of learn the routes where you can go all around the map, so it kind of becomes a little bit more fun and easier to navigate. I actually really love the AOD maps. They just look very pleasant. I actually don't like kiting. I'm gonna actually say that I don't like I like the map in a way. It looks pleasant, but it's so bullshit to navigate on that map. It's worse than Tangled Depths for me. And it's also super empty. Why is it so empty? It's a giant metropolis or whatever, really, and there's like 2 NPCs on like 500 square meters or whatever. Like, what is this? It should be covered with like NPCs walking around like some giant, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a big city. It just looks like a big city but doesn't feel like a big city. That's all it. Okay, next question. Burgers or pizza? I like pizza more. I'm really not fan of burgers. I do eat them if I have any ever, but I eat one homemade burger for like once every half a year. But it's not bad. I'm not saying they are bad. I just don't eat burgers. That's it. But I do eat a little bit of pizza every once in a while because it's it's tasty and I love cheese. Cats or dogs? As I said, I don't like cats, so dogs. What is the most hilarious thing you did as a kid? I don't know. Nothing. I wasn't really that funny. I don't know. How do you stay creative with video editing? Look, I just have like random bullshit ideas and I just do them. I'm just very spontaneous. I don't know. People say I'm very creative, but I don't know. because I just personally don't feel like it. But I like creating a lot of things, but it's not necessary all the time video editing, but sometimes it just bumps into that. How did you start with video making? As I said before, it was just random videos, and I just later uploaded to YouTube, whatever. If you had to make Muck cry, what will you do? I will quit. Probably, I don't know, or maybe I just die, or what, I don't know. I don't, I don't, it's kind of a silly question, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe probably quit, because then he would have to edit videos. I don't know. Maybe just that, really. Alright, next question. Where are you from and what languages do you understand? I'm from Hungary. Some people know that. Unfortunately, I'm from here. I know Hungarian and I learned English as a kid by myself, and I understand English. So that's the only two. I did wanted to learn Spanish at the time because it kind of sounded cool. I don't know why, but I'm really not really much interested anymore in those or any other language. Well, I'm kind of interested. I just can't be bothered to learn anymore, honestly. It's that. So yeah, I know Hungarian and I speak English as well, and I understand it, obviously. Alright, let's have a double question again. How long does it take for you to edit a video, and how has that changed since you started on YouTube? It genuinely really depends again on video, what kind of video, what do I have to make for it. If it's for myself, how much do I have to, record for it, for footage or clips, whatever. Do I need like voice for it? Do I use TTS or maybe ask others to do some lines or whatever? It's all up to like everything. And then of course the style of the video also depends. Like for example, I made that music video recently with the Braham and my character, where it just sings, well, kind of moves for the song and whatever. The many kind of friends from Oliver Tree. That video actually took me like, I don't even know, like 3 days to make, especially because like the war video I planned for it to be like just a very quick gag. So it was basically a 3D video with like 3D layers with a lot of shadows and then actual environmental light in the video. So due to that, the war rendering and like previewing the video itself each time took me so much time that it was just ridiculous due to all the effects, and there were also a lot of effects on top of them. So it took me quite a while to even render the video in the end. It actually took me like 5 hours to render the entire video in like small segments. Many people actually don't know that rendering takes quite a while. Like unless you do very basic stuff like this kind of video to black fade or fade out fade in from black or white or whatever you have, or like cross dissolving the video, transition so it just smoothly goes to the other scene, and just making these kind of basic edits, whatever. If you render that in like Premiere or such, it won't take much time. It maybe like zooms through the entire video because there is not much thinking the rendering have to do. But in my case with After Effects, there is a lot of effects, third-party effects, or plugins basically. So there is quite a lot of time it takes to render these, and even in general studio level, some movies take like years to actually render, or like half a year or year or 1.5 year. Depends again if it's like animated movie, stop motion, whatever. It's very different, but yeah. And I've been only like doing YouTube for I mean quite a while, but honestly, I'm not really fast. I'm just more used to a couple of things that I just slowly like became a habit to use, you know. So it kind of makes things faster. But that's it. Like I said previously, in a different question or for a different question, it's just like the how much you learn that you can do by yourself instead of like searching it up how to do because you just can't remember it anymore. And really, that's it. The other question was, I'm starting to learn as an editor. Any tips for a novice? How long did it take you to become so good? Thank you for that. I'm actually not good. Uh, well, maybe better than like an amateur or whatever, but I'm not really that good. Any tips? It really depends. I will say to just try to learn the basics of video editing, like how to cut, how to do like honestly just do very basic things first. No need to rush into like uh, visual effects or whatever. Like you don't have to start out with like CGI or whatever because they're just ridiculous, obviously. But just take it slow, learn a lot from like YouTube tutorials. It's a little bit harder now, I know, because you can't see dislikes, and genuinely some tutorials are like complete bullshit in this kind of topic, like video editing, because some just shows nothing, or some just over explains like a 2 minute edit or like a 2 minute technique into like half an hour thing to explain it. So it's yeah. But I would advise to watch a lot of tutorials. So just have like very basic ideas of what you want to do or make. If you go for like visual effects, just try to break it down to very basic things, like what do you need for that visual effect to do. Like there is never like a direct answer to what you need. So just try to break down the visual effect that you like envision in your mind, and try to break it down, and try to look for those for tutorials, and you will eventually just bump into them, really. And honestly, I've been in the video editing big business, if I can say that, for like 10 years now, or more than 10 years. But I've been doing it for more intensively in the past 8 years, and just learning more as I've been going. Okay, next question. What, if anything, inspired you for Nox's design, both Greenrose and Blackrose? So, if someone doesn't know, they are both my characters. Although Nox is both my persona and character. I'm not really a persona, but more like what I developed over a good couple of years and came up with very long ago. I think you can connect the dots that I like foxes and I like green. So the design for both of them, well, especially because my Noxie is basically a kind of a kitsune, like a fox girl, but it's like not supposed to be a furry as some things, because yes, the only fur they have is just the tail and the ear, and maybe the hair, of course. But the rest, I know it's green, but it's just skin and like skin pattern, whatever. And the Black Rose is, by the story, is supposed to be looking almost identical to Noxie, for reasons that I won't say because it's kinda in the story, which I will write eventually. I promise. Maybe in like 20 years I will actually finish it. I don't know, but yes, they are part of a story, especially the Black Rose. I actually didn't make the Black Rose outside of it. but Noxy was first my persona, and then I just created it as a character because I'm so bad at like making characters in games that I just copy what I have in my mind, and I just, yeah, like whatever, the same name, they look kind of similar, whatever, find down, create character, and just run around. Except for my Azura, obviously, but that's mostly because I like Azura, and the game doesn't have, fox people or whatever. But in like different games, I kind of try to copy that actually. But there wasn't really any very extreme design choices and ideas. Honestly, I kind of wanted to, I actually literally wanted to keep it very simple, but something that I really like, and something that kind of represents my mind in a way. Like, it's me, but more like my mind and the way I see and feel myself. Of course, it's obviously it's over exaggerated in many ways for visuals, obviously, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't really know. There is nothing really many extra to it. It's just what I like and how I envision myself and how I see myself mentally, like the character itself as well. I think everyone have or had at least a character in their mind that they are in, like in their own mind, in their own little world that they make for themselves, sometimes to escape reality and stuff. But for me, that was it. That's really it, honestly. That's it. All right, a few more questions and probably we'll end it because it's been more than an hour already. But let's see, what was the hardest time for you making content, and what was the most fun time for you making content for YouTube? What was happening in the game at the time? And if you are comfortable with it, tell us about your IRL events at the time. If not, just skip the IRL part, of course. Yeah, there was kind of, I think the hardest part was when I got my first ever job, which was in a plastic factory here. It was honestly very hard because it was very, like very tough mentally and physically. It was quite wrecking me. Of course, like I got kind of used to it after a while, but I worked so much and it was so exhausting working those work cycles that we had, where I was once, because I had a because we had 3 shifts. We had like morning shift, afternoon and night shifts, and we were cycling through all of them all the time. And when I had my 2-week cycle, which was basically like 4 afternoon shift and then right away 3 night shift, which exhausted me to like no end, and then right away with very little, like half a day break after that, you had a 7 normal morning shift going through. But the morning shifts were also very crap, obviously, because every boss was in at the workplace, so I had to like work even extra more after that. And then finally, after 2 weeks, you got 3 days of free time, and I was generally just so exhausted that I needed at least 1 or 2 days to just basically regenerate or something like that. Like I just needed to like refill my energy levels in some way. Sometimes it was like editing something funny that I like had as an idea through the week, but it was just at the start it was very tough. It was very hard because I just felt like I can't make anything, because any free time I got, I just wanted to rest. I just wanted to sleep. I just wanted to not think of anything, because it was just hard. It was itself a hard job as well, because it's a very hard manual labor. It's usually not the same case abroad. Sadly, here it is the same case. It's, it just everything is manual. They don't care how hard it is for you. You want to work, that's it. You don't care and nobody cares. Well, you care of course away, but you know that nobody cares, so you can do shit about it. That's it. You're abused, whatever. That's life. And it was just so hard, seriously, and then it just ended and I felt like I wasted my free time. And then we shifted into the other week cycle, which was 7 days of work uh, in a row, of course, which was just 3 afternoon shifts and then 4 night shifts constantly in a row, which was even more exhausting. And after that, sadly, we only had 2.5 day of free time, because that's how it always cycled into a month. And at the beginning, I swear, for like the first year, it was very hard to make anything beside it. Like, I had ideas through my work days. Sometimes it popped up. If I was doing like a morning shift, I tried to make it in the afternoon after I got home. But genuinely, a lot of times when I was done with like a morning shift cycle, each day I was just sleeping in the afternoon because I was so exhausted. I got home, I just ate, I took a shower, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep for like 2 hours, sorry. And then I just went to sleep, and I just woke up in the afternoon, and you just feel this dizzy and disoriented and everything after you take like a nap. And it was just so bad. I was like losing all my mood, and that was the scariest thing for me at the time, because I just felt like I was burning out in like everything, not just like making content, but like everything, like from life to everything. And it's just sometimes such a scary feel, because I I always had this kind of thing that I didn't want it to become like a another zombie who just works all the time and then just burns out, and then just just work, whatever. I don't care, because I care a lot. So I didn't want that. So I was very afraid that I might just basically quit doing anything I do that I enjoy, because I don't have time for it, and I have no energy or like mood for doing it. So that was a really low point in my life in terms of making content, because making content and making these videos, I know I have a very fucked schedule in terms of uploading, but I still love making them. Like, they are fun. I just get like an idea and it's like, okay, that's actually really cool, that's funny, that's great, I'm gonna just sit down and then make it. But sometimes I just don't have the time for it, sadly. And at the time, I actually really didn't have time for it, neither the mood, neither the energy. And yeah, it was just very bad. But then later on, when our work shifts and when we moved away, while the entire workplace moved to a new area, then we moved to a 12-hour shift, which was like 2 day working, 2 day free. And then it was like, just like night shift free, morning shift free, night shift, and just cycling like this. And that was a little bit better in the terms that when I had like morning shifts, the 2 days, then I had basically 2 full days of doing whatever I wanted. And that's while it was very exhausting because it was always 12 hours of work, it was still better a little bit, because at least you just only had to work 2 days. So that's all my mind was on, that it's okay, we are done with the first day, we move to the second day, and then it's fine. I don't care, I don't give a shit about anything. I just go home, I take a rest. And it was even better because I got home, of course, in the evening, because it was from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But because of travel times, it was more like a 30.5 hour of work and travel together for me usually. So but yeah, after that I at least got like a normal sleep, because I it was just better in the terms that I never got used to like the night shift, and I never got used to the morning shift because they were just always 2 days. So my body just didn't had time to shift over any of those, and it was actually more fucking me up actually mentally because of that, and less physically. But I had more free time to work on videos, so I actually got a little bit better in the terms that I was happier only because I got a little bit more consistent free time to work on videos. Because if I like didn't had energy to work on any project for myself, I just said, okay, hey, I just have to go through like 2 night shifts, and then I can work on them again. It's just 2 days of pause from working on any video, and then I just can continue. So those were very bad times, not because it wasn't that, oh my god, I have a job and I can make YouTube content. It just was that it's my joy, it's my thing. I love making it. It makes me happy whenever I can make something that makes other people happy, and it makes me happy. And if I can do that, and if I can entertain other people in some form or way, I just feel like I'm dead inside, and that's very bad. That's kind of the thing for me. So yeah, that was a lengthy answer. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, that's kind of explains it. All right, let's move on to the last few questions. All right, it's kind of a double question again. Because they are more related and then the other one is more silly, as you can see. But what was the lore behind all of your OCs? If someone doesn't know, OC means original character. It depends which one you mean. If you mean my Nox and Black Rose, as a character, they were made for my story, and they have a very lengthy lore. Honestly, it's a little bit more in depth for them, but I don't even know if I have any other OCs that I take it very seriously. In a way, I do have my Azura that I kinda very currently, as I'm recording this, I actually wrote a tiny story about her made up background, because I kind of try to write a story where she's like part of the story, but in like obviously a very different version of the story and Tyria. But I just make it for fun, because I just try to imagine like a different version of this world where she does something from a different world. Whatever, I can link it or just show it in the comments, whatever, under my comment, whatever, or the description maybe. It's just a Google document. But for my other characters, it's just basically an involvement in the story I'm writing, which is a very big. I actually want to write a book, basically, or like a novel, or whatever you want to call it. Honestly, I don't even know at this point what they are, even what they will be actually, because I still develop the story so much that sometimes I just get either ideas or just think through some parts of it, and then I drop some parts because they like very, I don't know, over me I don't know, I'm a little bit influenced by other stories that I see or read or hear sometimes, because I just want to avoid very bad or badly used things in stories, that people just tell that, hey, you actually shouldn't really write these, or shouldn't write about these or whatever, but on the other hand, I'm also very free on these, and pardon, and I don't like, I'm very creative on these, and I think whatever I write, I make it because I enjoy, and I think even bad things can be written well if it's in that kind of context. So you can't really just write and just say, hey, that's bad, because there's like a rule that you can't then you can't talk about that or whatever, or you can't mention in the story or something like that. Like, there is no such thing. Like someone says just write whatever you want, who cares, and then someone says, hey, you actually can't write about this. So it just it's very crazy. But like the actual lores, I will, I will just link my site, because I made a website recently, like on the start of the year, where I have all of my current little story bits and like writings about my few characters on it that you can read freely, of course. I will just put it into the description, probably in my comment as well, because nobody reads the description part of any video, honestly. So you can read that. It won't really spoil the story itself that I'm writing, because they don't really have, like, they do have a relation, but it doesn't spoil the story itself that I will write. So I'm just being very careful about these things, so I can't really say too much, but that's it, or whatever. The other question is, when do I get a hug from Black Rose? I'm ready to die. Anytime, really. If you really don't want to leave, you can hug her anytime, and you will. Actually, you can't even hug her, because by the time you will even physically touch her, you no longer exist, basically, because you are just nothing but ash, or even less. If anyone interested, my Black Rose is actually more of a personification of death, and well, it's a bit more complicated, of course, but the one I'm talking about is the actual, well, not actual, but like a little bit poetic, I'm not even sure about that word, that kind of personification of death. And her passive power is basically that everything in her presence, and so anything that is near her, which depends on a lot of things, like how big is this area that we are talking about, this presence, everything starts to die and decay, basically, be it immortal or not. Everything gets a lifespan, and it just starts to run to zero. And the closer you get to the Black Rose, the faster this runs out, and by the time you will be like in whatever, like a few steps away from her, you will basically like disintegrate into ashes, because you will like reach zero immediately at the time, no matter how fast you are, of course, because it's like on proximity based, or whatever, how could I describe, and you will just die on the spot. Not die, you will just perish, because you just reached the end of your life. So that is also part of the story in a way, which explains some things, why she is the way she is. It's whatever, it's kind of complicated to explain like this in a Q&A video, and yeah, you actually couldn't even hug her, so that's the point. Yeah, even if you are ready to die, you actually couldn't hug her. These questions are so silly. I'm sorry. Okay, we have like 2 more questions, I think. Let me check. Yeah, we have like 2 more questions, and I'm gonna end this. Okay, just bear with me. Okay, one question then. What inspires your videos? Okay, that's a kind of a good question in a way. There is not much, honestly. I just get random ideas, but sometimes I just see a good meme and I'm like, oh wait, that's actually very relatable to something Guild Wars 2 specific. Sometimes, I don't know, I just stick with like Guild Wars 2 stuff a lot of times, because I don't know, I obviously play the game, but there is just a lot that you can bring in, that you can make fun of, because it's like a social game in a way. Playing alone together. But I just watch memes, a lot of jokes, whatever I see, let it be new or old, I don't really care. Like, if there is something funny that I can relate to, like some kind of Guild Wars 2, uh, typical thing that happens in a game, or just critique the game through some kind of parody because it points out like weirdly or oddly specific things in the game. I also use that because I love to criticize the game, not to bash the game obviously, but because there are just sometimes like so ironic things that makes no sense in the game. Not very often, thankfully, but you know, there are problems in the game, and I just try to point out things with these. Not all of my jokes have like a very hidden meaning in them. Some of my jokes that I made in the past actually do have a little bit of a hidden meaning behind them about the game, although some of these things have been changed by now, obviously, if it's like a couple of years old. But there are still things that I like trying to point out, very ironic things. Actually, people should always look not just for the sarcasm in some of my videos, but the irony, because sometimes people really don't get it. Honestly, it's very funny when people actually don't get the joke, why I'm pointing out the thing that I point out, and it's very funny to see when someone comments or says something very opposite to it, and they think that they are right, or maybe they think that they are right, or whatever, or the way I read it. But in the end, it's really not that, and they just kind of proving my side that I'm trying to critique about like people or players or anything else, or some kind of behavior in the game. So I basically always try to use my joke and like joke weird humor I have and very dark humor sometimes that I have, and it just I'm just basically trying to point out weird behaviors, and like I don't know, it's very random. It depends when I actually do see something deeper behind certain things that people don't tend to see too clearly. It's like I could make like a video about the whole usual elitism that is brought up in the game all the time, like, oh my god, these elitist people and whatnot, and the it's usually said like toxic elitists, but I could actually more ironically say that like casuals are more toxic than the elitists. Yeah, and people will actually, if I will make any video about this, people will probably like more see the thing that they want to see in it, so they will agree in a way that I'm saying that yes, the elitists are toxic, when I'm actually truly trying to very very ironically point out that many casuals, in air quotes, will be much more toxic than elitists ever, or any of those people, and like this is just an example that I'm saying that people wouldn't really get, because they are not trying to see the irony in the whole thing, but like trying to see something that just proves their own view on things, so it's a little bit funny sometimes, and sometimes that's the fun for me in it, honestly. So yeah, it's a little bit more comprehensive, I think, but in the end I just want to entertain people. I don't care, but of course I do use it to critique things, behaviors, the game, bugs, whatever is funny. It's not all the case, and not every single time, but a lot of times that's it, really. Alright, then the last question, because my voice is kind of going away, honestly. I'm really not used to talking so much, so yeah, bear with me and my voice. It's very dead, or becoming dead, kind of. Okay, question is, I'm curious, were you always aware you wish to work in video editing, or was it something you discovered from another line of work? That's actually a very nice question, because it's kind of yes and no. as a kid, I always loved to entertain people. I did love to do art. Like I did drew a lot as a kid, especially comics. I actually drew a lot of comics as a little kid in school as well. I actually had a lot of, well, not a lot, but just a handful of friends from elementary school to primary school. I actually don't know which is the order in English in that, but from basically like first grade to like eighth grade. Not even eighth grade, because by the time I was in like fifth grade, I actually dropped quite a lot of it and only drew for like closer friends that were either in or outside of school or the class. But I did drew a lot of comics. I really loved doing those because people just loved reading them. Of course, they were very silly things. Of course, they were just very, um, yeah, random stuff, full of aliens and stuff. But it was so fun to just creatively, like, basically just letting out some kind of creativity, and I just love making it, and it was very fun to see people enjoying it, and it honestly really stuck with me. I don't really have much enjoyment in my life. Honestly, I don't want to go into like some kind of sub story, but I had a really shit life as a kid as well. Uh, I won't go into details. There was my parents divorcing, and there was a few stuff about my biological dad that did things to me, and it's kind of fucked up things he tried to do and did as well, which kind of scarred me mentally as well a little bit. Maybe that's why I'm partially so fucked up, honestly. But yeah, so I knew that I had to find some kind of entertainment in life, and I did realize as a kid that I really loved to entertain people in some way, or just, but also in the way that allows me to be creative. I did realize that early on, but school really fucked it up a little bit, because uh, of course, to many kids, obviously, and even nowadays, I guess. But to me, school was always given in the way that I have to learn something to make money, not to enjoy life. It was always like in a way that, okay, you need to learn some kind of profession that makes you good money and care about nothing else. And then in the end, I realized when I was a teen that this is also fucking fun. I don't want this, because I didn't want it to work in something that I just don't enjoy. So I tried to really think fast to go, because I was basically graduating, and I had to pick some kind of profession to go toward and learn more, of course. I didn't want it to go to like university or such, so that was out of question or whatever. But um, at first I picked programming because obviously many kids at my age wanted to get into like game development and making games. Like at the time when I was there, it was such a huge new thing to do, like making games. Like, oh my god, that's so exciting. And it was like, to me, it was also like some kind of creative outlet first. Of course, we didn't learn anything like that, but I knew that I have to learn that in order to actually go for that. But through the way I really did learn that I just don't like programming and coding and all the stuff. Like, I just didn't. But I still liked doing designs for like websites and stuff that we were working on. And at the time I actually was both making videos at the time, actually, already, but very scarcely. uh, and I was also drawing in like a hobby level digitally, like digital art. I had my little trusty table that I still have. It's a Wacom bamboo or whatever, pen and touch. It's still good because it's still the quality one, not the cheap ones that they later made. And I just drew a lot for fun for myself. I'm not mentioning my past artist life thing because I just want to forget that for very very good reasons. Nothing wild. Don't worry. It's so cringe. I don't want to remember any of it honestly at this point. And I have very bad experiences with that certain type of community that I was kind of part of. Um, it's really not hard to find, but yeah, I don't. I just no. I just want to forget that part. So due to that, because I really love to draw. I went for art school, which was the probably biggest mistake I ever done in my life. Because obviously I went for a single year of learning, but then on the spot when I applied and got in, they said that I need like 4 years of previous knowledge for that, knowledge. Nice meme. And I didn't have that because it was advertised to be a 1 year art school stuff, and they were like, when I got accepted and got in, they were like, yeah, you have to do this small little exam of 4 years of knowledge of art stuff. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I wasn't in art school, like, what is this shit? So whatever, I was let through, even though I completely failed. Obviously, I had no chance learning 4 years of art knowledge from art history or whatever through 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks to learn that. Like, that's completely impossible. I'm sorry. So I obviously failed, but since out of three of my teachers, two still approved because they had common sense and knew that yeah, we can learn that. But so they just let us pass by decisions, their own decision. But a third teacher, who I at the time didn't know who was it, told that I should not be there. Honestly, I really shouldn't have been there, honestly, but whatever. I was expecting to learn more, drawing techniques or whatever, or just practice a little bit more probably, or something, I don't know, because drawing and practicing drawings was not my habit. So I just drew only when I had the mood for it and I had an idea, and even that was kind of bad and a little bit cringe, honestly. But yeah, I was later on then at the end of the year kicked out. Well, not kicked, but I was failed due to this teacher who didn't like me at all. He really didn't like me. So he just told me to not even try and not even bother, just go home and just accept this, that I failed. So I failed art school due to that, and I actually don't know what I wanted to do. I was completely out of school. I kind of had to look for like some kind of job meanwhile, because that's how it works in life, sadly. So I got an opportunity to learn web design. I went for that because why not? I know Photoshop and stuff, and like some kind of design. I work with these. You don't have to think like very highly of these kind of education here. They are very low. They are very super basic. They just take your money and like teach you like the most fucking basic Photoshop crap that you can learn ever, from like 2 YouTube videos basically for free, literally. And then I just go in, and I went in. I couldn't even pay for it, obviously, and it was very expensive. But yeah, I finished that, and then I learned again that I just don't like doing this. But it was still like, okay, I like entertaining people. What do I like? What do I enjoy doing in this fucking life that I can do? And by the time, I did realize slowly that hey, I could just stick with like video editing, because first it's very creative. I can put a lot of creative work into it. I can entertain people with it, and I'm like, it's such a good combination. Like I love that. Like I can do so much in video editing. Like I in some sense I could tell like a story through it as well, not like literally telling a story, you know, in a video, but like editing a video together with like a story, you know, like making a short series or whatever, like an animation. But then of course animation, I realize, is not that easy, and it needs more art knowledge than anything else. But yeah, so in the end I just figured that, hey, I should just basically stick with this, because this is a good combination. I enjoy doing it. It's good fun. There is so much fun in it. I love doing it. There's so much to learn. Like oh my god, there's so much crazy thing you can do with like editing, and it's just so fun. It's just good. I just love it. It's nice. Of course, it's tedious. It's very hard. It's obviously very hard. Very consuming. It's yeah, it's kind of complicated. You can't do everything in it all at once. Some specific regions in it needs other different skills to use with it. For example, I love like James Lee's animations that some people may know. I love that, but people have to realize that he's basically animating. He's also doing art for it, so he's basically an artist as well, while also an editor, and he's just doing crazy things. But I can do that because I can't really do that kind of art. I mean, I could basically, maybe with like, I don't know, 20 years of experience or practicing, but no, I can't really do that. So I just ended up with this. I do want to try different things because there are many things. I think I'm more of a jack of all trades kind of person, so I don't really specialize in one single thing for my entire life. I like to branch out and just try new stuff, but pick one thing that I really enjoy from it to do as like some kind of job as well, to not burn out, which is why I ended up with this and where I am right now, which I'm honestly very grateful for, because I never expected to have like a community to actually stick with like some kind of game in the end. Because when I started, obviously I was still playing basically Guild Wars 1, and I wasn't doing obviously that kind of specific content for the game or whatever. And yeah, it's just very crazy how through like these past basically 8 to 10 years I just got where I am, and it's just amazing in a way. It's not obviously, if you think of it very far away in like a very I don't know, distanced perspective, it's not much, but to me it's like so incredible compared to where I was in life and how life was. So I'm very grateful for that. And well, I don't want to bring you more questions because it is already more than 1.5 hour long Q&A basically, but I really wanted to answer some of these questions and be a little bit more personal with these kind of questions. You know, I didn't want to do like a Q&A video that is like just text on the screen, or just like a text-to-speech voice, whatever. So a little bit more of me for once, I guess. I know I talk in the podcasts and the VODs that I upload to it, but not many people watch those anyway because they are not fun that much, honestly, to watch, and they are very long. This is very long as well, so if you are still here, thank you for listening. This is really the end of it, and I'm not really sure I will do any other Q&A with. Maybe in the future, I don't know, because they are very long, and I'm typically the kind of person who rambles for like half an hour about one single question. As you can probably see it right now, there are just a few questions that I managed to answer in like maybe under 2 minutes. But yeah, that's just me. So again, thank you for I don't know, listening to these questions, this video, whatever answers. Yeah, so that's all to it. Um, I don't know if there will be an outro. I don't know. Look, I'm just editing this later. Whatever. This is like ending the stream. Why is this so hard? Whatever. Okay. Thank you again for watching. See you guys next time. I will be working on a couple of videos, by the way. Compared after this video is out, I'm actually working on a End of Dragons in a nutshell video, which is kind of similar, which I plan to be similar to the Pot of Fire in a nutshell video, which tells the what is the story is about, you know, in like a nutshell, which I try to make it funny enough, but also short enough that it makes sense, you know, because it's not really a very short story though. So whatever. Yeah. Again, thank you guys for watching and see you next time.